Okay, it's 6:30. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. Roll call, please.
Mr. Mrzinski. Mr. Mrzinski.
Here.
Mr. Sprecher.
Here.
Mr. Sedana.
Here. Okay, before we go any further, what I have to mention is we technically have a quorum. There's 3 out of 5. It's normally a 5-member commission. But that means that we have to vote, it has to be a unanimous vote for anything that we're talking about tonight. So if you're not comfortable with that, there's no problem with us moving you to the next meeting, to next week or next month, when we would hopefully have more than 3 people. So do you understand what I'm saying? Everyone here has to vote either in favor or against. It has to be unanimous. So you're good with that? Everybody's good with that? Okay, all right, we'll move on then. Public comments, anything that does not have to do with the 2 agenda items. Does anybody have any questions or comments? No? Okay. Then we're going to go to number 4, the minutes, approval of August 4th, 2025 minutes. Did you guys read them?
Yeah.
Yep. Want to make a motion? Okay. You want to second that?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
The motion was to accept them?
To accept.
Okay.
Yeah.
Turn on your,
Motion to accept.
It's on.
that's on, okay.
Just too far away.
Okay.
Okay. We have a motion, we can vote.
Mr. Sedana.
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Sprecher.
Yes.
Mr. Mrzinski.
Yes. Okay, number 5, quasi judicial announcement and swearing in of speakers.
Good evening. This is a quasi-judicial proceeding where the Heritage Preservation Board acts in a quasi-judicial rather than a legislative capacity. At a quasi-judicial hearing, it is not the board's function to make law, but rather to apply law that has already been established. In a quasi-judicial hearing, the board is required by law to make findings of fact based upon the evidence presented at the hearing and apply those findings of fact to previously established criteria contained in the Code of Ordinances in order to make a legal decision regarding the application before it. The board may only consider evidence at this hearing that the law considers competent, substantial, and relevant to the issues. If the competent, substantial, and relevant evidence at the hearing demonstrates that the applicant has met the criteria established in the Code of Ordinance, then the board is required by law to find in favor of the applicant. By the same token, if the competent, substantial, and relevant evidence at the hearing demonstrates that the applicant has failed to meet the criteria established in the Code of Ordinance, then the board is required by law to find against the applicant. Have there been any ex parte communications that need to be disclosed?
None.
Seeing none. Okay, is anybody intend to speak tonight, testify tonight? If you could raise your hand and I'll swear you in. Anybody? Okay. Okay, anybody intends to come to the microphone, please raise your hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony in these proceedings this evening?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the first application, 25-65, certificate of appropriateness to partially demolish the contributing primary structure for the purpose of constructing a new primary structure. Location 226 North Gross Avenue. Carolyn?
Good evening, Caroline Lanford, Principal Planner at the City of Tarpon Springs. Caroline Lanford, Principal Planner with the City of Tarpon Springs. We're here to discuss 2565, which is located at 226 North Gross Avenue. This slide is showing you the location and context of the subject property. It is located in the northern part of our downtown area in a primarily residential district. This slide is showing you the subject property's location within the National Register and local historic districts. The larger blue boundary shows the local historic district, and the red dashed shows the National Register district. And the applicant is seeking a conditional certificate of appropriateness to partially demolish the subject property, reconstruct a new residence, landscaping, the construction of a garage, and construction of a pool. So at this time, the applicant is under contract for the property, and before investing in full plans for the property, they'd like to get that conditional approval for the partial demolition before they come back to the Heritage Preservation Board with plans to then be approved to actually construct something. The subject property is a frame vernacular structure built circa 1910. This slide is showing you the photograph from the Florida Master Site File for the property. This slide shows you the location of the property on the 1913 Sanborn map. This is a fairly recent picture of the facade of the front of the primary structure. And these photographs are from the current real estate listing for the property. As you can see, it's overgrown. There's some damage. Some aerial shots. And then some interior shots, which kind of show the extent of the damage to the property. This slide is showing you a very conceptual plan for what the applicant is going to come back to the board and ask to do. They would like to preserve the facade and then reconstruct the house in a similar footprint to the historic structure, add a pool to the property, and a garage at the rear of the property. And this is just showing that plan on an aerial. So we're going to approach this case as a demolition because that is the primary thing that we have to discuss with this case. So our standards of review for demolitions, we first look at the historic, architectural, and cultural significance of the structure. This structure has no special significance beyond the fact that it does contribute to the national and local historic districts. The second criteria would be the importance of the building to the ambiance of the district or patterns of land use reflecting cultural traditions of the community. Again, the subject building has no known documented significance beyond contributing. It is the northeasternmost parcel within the National Register District. This area of the district is rather eclectic, as our district is as a whole. To the east, there's a 1956 ranch residence that's contributing. There's several craftsmen in the immediate vicinity, ranging from 1910 to the 1920s. There's 3 colonial revival structures, dating from 1913 and 1919, and then a 1957 masonry vernacular residence. I will note that the block that the subject property is on is largely intact. So there are only 2 of the 18 structures that are considered to be non-contributing. So partial demolition of the structure would alter the streetscape here in this intact block. However, the plans to reconstruct within the historic footprint would minimize that. And any redevelopment would require HPB approval. So our next standard of review would be the difficulty or impossibility of reproducing such a building. It's a frame vernacular building. It would not be difficult to reproduce it, including the design, texture, material, and details of the subject property. And the location and the setting of the structure are not unique to a frame vernacular structure. The fourth criteria we look at is whether the building or structure is one of the last remaining examples of its kind within the district. Frame vernacular is the most common architectural style we have in the district, with 147 of the 371 structures. So that's nearly 40% of the structures are identified as frame vernacular. This particular structure is a circa 1910 structure, and the majority of frame vernacular buildings within our National Register district were constructed prior to 1915. So it is not one of the last remaining examples of its architectural style or of that time period. The fifth criteria that we look at is the future utilization of the site. The site is located in the R70A single-family residential district, so that means generally there's a few other uses that could be constructed within there, but generally it would be a single-family residence that would be constructed on the property, and the applicant is proposing to construct a new single-family residence. Again, using the historic footprint and replicating elements of the historic structure. It would be recommended that the HPB condition any approval requiring an HPB-approved site plan and design prior to the issuance of the demolition permit, so that we're not allowing the structure to be demolished prior to knowing exactly what will be constructed on the site afterwards. The sixth criteria is whether reasonable measures can be taken to save the building. We don't have a detailed analysis of whether or not the structure is damaged beyond repair. However, if you look at the photographs that were supplied by the applicant, there is significant damage to the structure. And then the seventh criteria would be whether the building structure would be capable of earning a reasonable economic return on its value, and whether perpetuation of the structure, considering its condition and location, and the anticipated expense of rehabilitation, would be economically feasible. Now, staff cannot render an expert opinion on whether or not it would be economically feasible. However, a detailed reconstruction or restoration cost has not been provided by the applicant. They did provide a kind of order of magnitude cost that they received from a reliable contractor of approximately $700,000 to restore the historic structure. The Pinellas County property appraiser sets the 2024 market value of the property at roughly $233,000. So the value of that, $700,000, as a general estimate of what it would take to restore the property. Again, I can't render an expert opinion on whether or not that's economically feasible. However, the entitlements available for the property would allow for a new single-family home to be constructed that could exceed the present value of the structure that is currently on the property. So my recommendation is that you look at the evidence contained within the staff report in this presentation, and that if the proposed partial demolition and reconstruction of the property is consistent with the review standards, I would recommend that any approval be conditioned with the following. One, that the parameters of the guideline 41 of the guideline review manual will be followed. That primarily concerns documentation of the historic structure before it is demolished. Number 2, that the demolition permit would not be issued prior to HPB-approved plans for the property. And then once that is issued, that the certificate of appropriateness would expire within 3 years if no building permit has been issued. The project was publicly noticed, as they all are, and we did receive an email today. I've supplied that email with you, and it could be read into the record if the person that sent the email said that they may be able to come to the meeting. I'm not sure, but we do have that, and we can read that into the record if you'd like. And with that, I can take any questions.
Yeah, just some clarification. What we're looking at tonight, we're not looking at any plans. We have no plans. All we're looking at is a possible approval of demolition with it being contingent on approval of any future plans before there's any demolition done. We're not approving any plans. We're not allowing any demolition tonight.
Correct.
Correct.
The applicant is seeking a conditional certificate of appropriateness for the partial demolition and reconstruction of the structure.
And it would be conditional on us seeing plans that we would approve.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else? Question? No? Okay, let's have the presentation by the applicant. Hi. I didn't know who.
All right, thank you. My name is Mike Hanks. My wife Patty. We appreciate that you have given us time on the agenda today, and also thank Caroline for your assistance. We've met with her twice in this process, and she's given us quite a good education on what it means to be in a historic district, so appreciate that. So what I want to do is just introduce who we are, why we're coming to Tarpon Springs, and what we're requesting from you. So we have been living for the last 17 years in St. Pete. We assumed we'd stay there until we go to an assisted living facility, but Patty decided to have a career change. And so over the last 5 years, she's become a minister. And, okay, I wasn't gonna do this, but I am. Okay.
Take your time.
All better. So last September, she was hired at the Unitarian Universalist Church here in Tarpon Springs as their minister. So they've just extended her contract for another couple of years. And I work from home. I'm retiring soon, so it makes no sense to be there and have her commute while I don't have to. So we're moving to Tarpon Springs. So that's why we're coming here. The house we live in for 17 years, we moved here from Michigan and developed a place that we absolutely love. It's a 100-year-old craftsman house. We put in basically our own little resort. So we have a pool, we have an apartment in the back, and we love the place. So what we're looking to do is replicate what we have there in Tarpon Springs. That's what we've been looking to do. So this property, we saw it before we even listed our house for sale, and it just hit all the boxes we're looking for, with the possible exception of how much it costs to do it. So that's why we're here today, is to get some, comfort on how much it's likely to cost for us to do this project. And that's what we're asking for you, is a little bit of just reduce the uncertainty that we're facing as to whether we can do this or not. So, we are not at the place yet where we can develop plans. We do have an offer on the property that's contingent on what response we get from you on this request today. So the photograph that Caroline saw at the beginning, that's what we fell in love with. That's what we want. So our intention is to have that as what the place will look like when we finish our project. We did go in and visit the house twice, and it's not hyperbole to say the condition of the house is alarming. The photographs you saw on the inside, you see little patches on the floor. Those are cardboard or record covers taped over holes in the floor. Unfortunately, none of the photos showed this, but the back half of the house, the crossbar of the T, is actually tipped away from the front, and there's about a 2-inch gap in the ceiling in the upstairs just because they're falling apart. We had a contractor with us and an architect while we looked at this, so sort of the 2 questions of the 7 that Carolyn went through that you're to consider. Number 6 talks about, is there any option besides demolition? From my perspective, this was in bad enough condition that I thought the only option is, you bulldoze a place and start over. In conversations with the contractor and with Caroline, an option that I didn't know existed is what we decided we would shoot for, which is to maintain the front wall of the house, demolish everything behind it, and then rebuild the house. So the front of the house would stay the same. There's undoubtedly some things that need to be fixed on that front because of rot and something like that. But the way that my contractor described it is that the front wall will never hit the ground. That stays up, and the house gets built onto that. So that's our plan. So that's why we're looking for a partial demolition instead of full. And then we love the footprint of the house. That's what we want to build. So we want a house that looks like what's there, only not falling apart. And then the other things that we would like to add would be like what we have in St. Pete. A pool, we have a small garage with an above garage apartment in the back. We would like to do something like that. Our thought for the garage apartment is it looks like the house, just like the house. It has a wraparound porch. We like a porch off the side that faces the pool, and then landscaping that would, I don't have any plans for this yet, but first of all, take it from being the jungle that it is right now into something that looks presentable, with probably landscaping that would help to hide the pool, a little bit of privacy from the street for the pool. We would like to add a fence. We have 2 little dogs and a grandson we'd like to keep out of the street, so there's no fence around it now, but we'd something like to add would be a fence like that. So that's basically what we have in mind. And talking with the contractor to get estimates for what this would cost, it was, I guess to our naive, inexperienced ideas of what it would cost, it was shockingly high. And so that's part of what we're concerned about. Our budget is basically set by what our house in St. Pete sells for, and it's on the market right now. So we'll hopefully have an answer to that soon. The cost of this project, from buying the property, building the house, adding the things we're interested in, looks like it's coming in at something like 1.1 million, which is more than I anticipated, is more than we thought our budget would be, but we think we can do that. What we don't think we can afford is if your decision is that more of the structure needs to be retained, from what the contractor described to us, the cost it would be to retain more of the exterior walls or the foundation, that adds enough that I think we probably can't afford to do it. So that really gets what our request is to you. With what we're planning to do, does that meet, essentially the preferred criteria, what you would like to see with this property? Is that enough that we can go ahead with this project, or is the preference that more of it is retained? And if so, then it's probably not us. Somebody else would probably need to do that. I think that's all I had.
All right, well, it was a lot. Thank you. So you haven't really, or have you? Has anybody actually given you costs or feasibility of actually just restoring the house? I mean, you threw out some numbers but was that just your estimate or was it some engineers or contractors or architects?
It's a mixture. The cost for the house itself was talking to the contractor. We also talked a little bit to an architect who hasn't seen us, so he was just throwing out general numbers. But the contractor was there with us, and the estimate that he gave us for like brand new house construction, he was talking $300 to $350 a square foot. And then the cost to, like if we kept all the exterior walls, redid all the inside, probably redo the foundation. They're concerned that the foundation itself is not in good condition, which is why they think the house is falling back. That, he said, really can't put a number on it, but he did something like that recently, which added $150,000 by itself, just to do the foundation.
Okay, and I guess maybe not so much the money, but the feasibility of restoration. Are you being told it's so far gone that it really cannot be saved?
Well, I can tell you two things. One, what the contractor told me, and one, the conversation between the architect and the contractor who were looking at the house, just how their conversation changed as we were there. First, the contractor's comment was when he was new in the business, his mentor told him that everything can get fixed. It's just how much do you want to spend? I think that was a little bit of a joke, but not completely, given the condition of the house. And then the conversation, the architect was clearly interested in the structure, loved the idea of saving it. And then as we walked through and just recognized that the back half of the house is falling down, went from saving the whole thing to maybe we save the front half. And then as we kept walking around and looking at it, was less and less saying that was a possibility. From my perspective as a layperson, there's water damage everywhere, termite damage, holes in the floor, holes in the ceiling, holes in the roof. It would be difficult for me to think of part of this that would be salvageable. From talking with from our contractor and how it would be done, it's like, okay, actually you can. It's expensive.
Michelle says mentioned that the architect that was there was Ed Hoffman.
Oh, okay. The architect was Ed Hoffman that we had with us. Maybe you probably know who he is.
I know the name, yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so my impression of it was the cost of rehabbing or fixing it up probably was beyond what was reasonable. That was my impression. And from what I gathered from them, I'm pretty confident it's beyond what we can do, beyond what we can afford.
Okay, anybody, do you have any? Thank you for that. Any
No,
questions?
that was pretty thorough. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
You're good?
Yeah.
I'm good.
You're good? Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, shall we discuss?
We can discuss now.
That's what we need to do.
Okay.
Since the,
Okay, we don't have any more. Okay,
yeah,
couple things. One is, it's a contributing structure, but we have a lot of them around. Okay? And the main reason it's contributing over there is because of the exterior of it. It gives ambiance to the neighborhood, to that street. There's no construction in there that would be unique to the house. Well, I can understand. Frame vernaculars are frame vernaculars, they're building them just about the same now. little bit different, almost. So if you've got one that far gone, where it's breaking apart like that, you'd be, you know, to replace stick by stick would cost you a lot of money. You know, it really, and it's, you know, you wouldn't be gaining that much because it, when it's all said and done, the whole interior is new, okay, and it looks the same at the outside. So it kind of makes sense to just knock down on this one, to knock it down, and the idea of keeping the front forward wall, that's a good idea. I like that, you know. But then, you know, that keeps a little bit of the old house, you know.
Yeah, I think it's commendable that you're trying to save part of the house at least, rather than just raise it and.
How do you feel about restoration versus building new? Or is it?
That's a case by case. Yeah. Okay. If we had a frame vernacular that had history, or frame vernacular that, you know, had a different type of construction, then you'd want to save that construction. But this is line of sight, you know, it's how it looks on the outside. You know, and they're willing to make it look about the same, so,
Well, that's what it sounds like.
yeah.
Carolyn, did you have any other comments on this after that presentation?
No. I think, I guess I would only say that the alternative would be, you know, we allow the contributing structure to continue to deteriorate to a point where it's definite that there's no alternative but demolition, and we might have a new owner, an applicant come in who wants to build something completely different rather than preserving what of the structure we can.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was thinking the same thing.
same thing, yeah.
All right. Have we discussed it enough?
I think so.
Yeah. I've said my piece.
I'm a big fan of saving and not tearing down, but I tend to agree on this one. If indeed the new structure is going to, it's not going to look exactly like it, but if it's close, I could probably get behind that. Well, if there's no more discussion here, does somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make the motion. Okay, I'm gonna make the motion to accept the demolition on contingency of seeing what it's gonna look like, you know, with the final conceptual plans, you know.
Before any demolition is
Yeah,
done.
before any demolition is done. Essentially, the recommendations of the staff.
Yeah, I second that.
Yeah.
Actually,
Have the
wasn't a recommendation from the staff other than the three.
That
Wasn't
was
it
the three.
Oh, I see. Yeah, okay. I was thinking of the other one.
No.
Yeah. No, one was documentation, the other one was,
Yeah, okay,
yeah,
okay. So that's the motion.
yeah.
And I
As
second.
recommended.
You want to second it? All right, do you understand? You guys understand what the motion was? Do you want any more discussion on it?
No, we're fine.
Okay, let's call a vote then.
Mr. Cadena,
Yes.
Mr. Sprecher,
Yes.
Mr. Mrzynski,
Yes. So you did get a unanimous vote here, and you understand that before anything happens, you need to come back to us. Great. Good luck.
But it's
All
It's
right,
admirable what you're trying to do. It really is, you know. It's very good.
all right. We have, let me get back to it here. Application 25-64, certificate of appropriateness to create new openings in the contributing outbuilding structure structure, an access ramp at the contributing primary structure and for landscaping. Location 118 East Orange Avenue. Carolyn?
Okay, yes, this is application 2564 at 118 East Orange Street. This first slide is showing the location of the subject property within within our downtown. It's just north of Tarpon Avenue, which is our main street, so it's kind of in the center of our historic downtown. This slide shows the location of the subject property within the national and local historic districts, kind of smack dab in the middle of both. The applicant is seeking a certificate of appropriateness to construct an ADA ramp on the west side of the primary structure, to have new window openings on the contributing outbuilding, and to put up some landscaping. This structure is a masonry vernacular structure that was constructed approximately in 1925. The contributing outbuilding is a cottage style that was constructed around 1950. The Florida Master Site File for the property lists the principal building as a masonry vernacular structure that also has some Greek Revival and French Creole style elements. The building was most recently known as the Oxford Tea House, but it has been vacant for some time now, and it's not currently occupied. So this is showing the location of the subject property on the 1926 Sanborn map. And this is a recent photograph of the facade. So I should note that a previous certificate of approval had been issued for some of the work that's been going on. This application is for additional work that was not contained in that previous certificate of approval. And this is showing the southeast elevation. This is the outbuilding, and that large opening there, that's one of the new. It combined some existing openings, consolidated them, and then that door was, I believe, previously a window. This is a survey of the subject property, a rendering provided by the applicant showing the proposed project, and then some additional photos from the applicant of the outbuilding. The photograph to the right of the screen is the outbuilding facing the alleyway that sits in between Orange and Tarpon Avenue. This is plans provided by the applicant for the outbuilding. And these are the landscaping plans provided from the applicant. For our standards of review, the first applicable standard would be new construction consistency regarding the height and width of the alteration and its consistency with adjacent contributing structures. So the addition of the ADA ramp on the west side would minimally increase the footprint of the primary structure. This impact is not considered to be significantly adverse when balanced with the increased access and the impermanence of the alteration. The ramp would not be altering the contributing structure itself and could be removed at a later date. I apologize, number 2 should be highlighted with respect to the new openings at the contributing outbuilding. The outbuilding had 3 door openings on the front facade and 1 door opening on the rear facade and 5 window openings on the front facade. When the previous certificate of approval was issued to replace all of the doors and change 1 window opening into a new door. So since that time, the fenestration pattern has been altered, and converting that window into a door, and then to enlarge window openings on the facade. This is an accessory outbuilding. It's not visible from the street. It does serve a subordinate function on the property. So overall, the changes to the fenestration are not considered to have significantly adverse impacts to the property as a whole. However, these changes likely have affected the contribution of the outbuilding to the contributing property. I guess what I'm saying is the changes are not going to change whether or not the entire property continues to be a contributing structure in the district. However, the outbuilding may no longer be considered contributing. Number 3 would be the relationship of the structure within the historic district. Again, the ADA ramp would minimally impact the relationship of the primary structure with the streetscape and alter the streetscape. Not consider these impacts significantly adverse. With respect to the consolidated window openings, they're not visible from the public right-of-way and therefore would not affect the streetscape. The proposed landscaping would alter the streetscape. However, the landscaping proposed is complementary to the historic structure and not considering these landscaping changes to be adverse. The next applicable criteria would be the size and massing of the size and massing of the primary structure. Again, would not be altered minimally with the addition of the ADA ramp. And then no alteration to the outbuilding. Obviously, number 6, landscaping. The proposed new landscaping is considered to be complementary to the primary structure and would visually enhance the streetscape possibly. So, architectural, I apologize again. The architectural features, the distinctive architectural features should be repaired and replaced rather than replaced whenever that's possible. So when the window openings were enlarged, some historic materials on that contributing outbuilding were destroyed. So the removal of those materials from the structures, from the outbuilding structure, altered its appearance. However, again, this alteration is not visible from the street. And I would say, generally, these changes adhere with the Secretary's guidelines and they are in conformance with other city codes and requirements. This slide's just showing you some of the information from the Design Guideline Review Manual regarding safety codes and accessibility. So we always do want to provide access to buildings, to historic structures, but we want to minimize the impact that access causes for the historic structure. The location of the proposed ramp on the west side and the plans for it do tend to minimize this impact. It's not going to be installed on the primary facade. It's going to go over on the side of the building. Generally, the plans conform with the Design Guidelines Review Manual. So Guideline 22 is about preserving historic outbuildings. As I mentioned, there have been alterations to the historic outbuilding, which could affect its contribution to the district. And then in general, the landscaping plans proposed conform with Guideline 18. With that, I'm recommending approval of application 2564 with our standard condition that the certificate of appropriateness would expire in 3 years if a building permit has not been issued. And with that, I can take any questions.
Thank you, Carolyn. So I do remember that this property was in front of us a few years ago. This is completely different from what we approved before. Did we even look at that back building last time?
You did, it was a certificate at the time, a certificate of approval was issued to replace the historic doors with fiberglass doors and convert that window into a door. So it's just, there was a little bit of additional work that has been done that is different from the certificate of approval that was issued at that time. And that's what the applicant is here seeking.
Okay, okay, great. So anything that we approve tonight kind of supersedes that one then, right? Or adds to it?
Adds to it.
Adds to it, okay. All right, great. Any questions for Carolyn?
No, thank you.
No? Okay, how about the applicant?
Sure. I'm also going to call Heidi up just because it's going to make her uncomfortable, and I want her to get used to speaking a little bit, so that'll be fun. So I'll speak for context, background, information related to this project and kind of how we're here, and then really just ask questions to bring clarity if you have any questions.
Your name too.
Matthew. My name is Matthew Hausch.
Okay.
So born and raised Tarpon Springs. This is my brother as well, his wife Heidi, and my wife Mary Rose, that we're all here. We're involved in this project as we affectionately known as the Tea House, which it's a really cool story of the history and the people and the connections and all related to Tarpon. So our heart's desire and what we're trying to do is align with really the spirit of Tarpon Springs. This is where we live, this is where we play, where we go to school, where I went to school. We have businesses here, and we're really connected to the community and trying to take this property and bring it back to its original glory from an architectural standpoint. What the building looks like, the landscaping, the design, and all of the aspects of it, or with that in mind. It's actually, in use is gonna be an event space. What you mentioned has already been approved was with our friend George. He was gonna do a restaurant, so all the buildings, all the plans, everything was already pushed through as a restaurant for everything that was related to that. I don't wanna unpack all of that. We picked that up from George, and we're taking over the project with a very similar, it's just instead of a full-scale restaurant, it's gonna be an event space. So these alterations that are being made are with that in mind, converting some of the things that were approved. And as Caroline mentioned, there's a little confusion because of the length and complexity and different levels of, we thought it was all approved related to this back structure. So there's three things really, we went ahead with the work that was on the plans that we absorbed and kind of took over. But the back structure, there was ambiguous in nature, and some of the things that we did on the plan were not actually approved. So we're here to get those approved, and I can speak to that if you have specific questions. Two is the landscaping. Again, there's a beautiful plan. I can dive into that. I don't want to ramble unless you guys have questions about it, so ask questions I can answer. And then three is the ADA ramp, which is probably the most significant change. What was originally approved on the plans and have gone through the approval process, they were going to take, there's like, we could reference the photo, but I could probably describe it. Off the street, there's stairs that go up, and it kind of goes up into the house. So it was actually carved out to kind of take apart the historical wall that's right connected to the sidewalk in the middle of the property, and there was going to be a ramp that comes on the east side of the property, and there was like a lift that was actually approved because there was already plans that were approved from a building standpoint to change the use and function of the property. So there you go, where that man lift bucket is on the left, they were basically going to cut into that wall and make like an ADA ramp to satisfy the building code side of it. So our thought, kind of where the gentleman is standing there in front of the steps, to keep the structures intact as most and as best as we can, was to, and we can pull up the landscape plan, but to take those steps, go up, and then bring them kind of to the right and bring them up on the west side of the property, and kind of not make it visible. It has to have an ADA ramp for public use, but we're trying to move that ramp from what was approved from the east side of the building and cutting into that beautiful wall and trying to have it come up the stairs and go around. So we're trying to make it less conspicuous, more discreet kind of a look. Yeah, disguises, it come around, and that's gonna be like the service side of the building. It's an ADA ramp, mechanical equipment, all that kind of stuff's over there. So we're trying to preserve everything on the three elevations, to the north, to the east, and to the south, with the landscaping plan. So that's really the three objectives that are different from the first approval, so we can continue moving ahead and get the project finished and make it a beautiful, glorious building, which is good for Tarpon. And I know all of our friends and neighbors and other businesses are super excited because it's been a eyesore and a dead, unoccupied building for a while. So it's fun putting life back into it. So that's why we're here tonight. So really, it's kind of, I think, enough of background, just to open it up for questions for you guys, if I can bring clarity to anything.
Well, you covered it pretty well, I
Yeah,
think.
good.
Any questions
No,
for the applicant?
You did cover it well. That was good.
Well, I usually have a bunch of questions and I can't think of anything right
Oh,
now.
wow.
It's unusual for them to be speechless.
Well, I'm not speechless. Okay, well, Carolyn, do you have anything to add to?
You have a
anything
question
here?
for Heidi?
Oh, stop.
Yeah, Heidi, what? No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so it looks pretty straightforward, what you're asking. And I know we've approved a lot of things on this property before. And we were always, excited about this, seeing some life there. Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
that's kind of the watercolor, but that's the idea. We're trying to bring it back as much
Nice.
as possible to what it was.
Be nice.
Nice, looks good. Looks good. Any discussion here, any comments?
I think this is an improvement.
Yeah, I think so
What
too.
he's doing.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was a good move. I remember the way they were gonna put it up on the east side.
Right.
It's a better move on the west side like that.
Yeah, I think so
It is.
too. I think so too.
Yeah, it's an improvement to the design, definitely.
Yeah, okay. Anybody feel comfortable making a motion for this?
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept it as stated by the staff. Appreciate that.
To approve
To approve.
with the, well, there actually isn't, really the only recommendation is the 3 years,
But
right?
yeah,
Yeah, okay. So, repeat that so
okay.
Kim
Want me
gets
to
it.
repeat it?
Okay, approve the proposal as presented by the staff with the condition of being 3 years for the building permit.
Okay.
Of 2564.
Okay,
I second.
okay, so you both understand the
Yes.
motion?
Just to
Any
accept.
other discussion?
No.
Let's take a vote.
Okay.
Cadena,
Yes.
Mr. Sparker,
Yes.
Mr. Mrzynski,
Yes.
Very good. Thank
Thanks
you
for
very much.
coming. Yeah,
Congratulations.
it's exciting,
Yeah.
yeah. And nobody else had to talk. All right,
Trying to rip them in.
all right, thank you. All right. Give me a second here. Okay,
Yeah.
we're not done yet. I'm just going back to my agenda. Okay, board and staff comments.
I don't have any additional comments.
Anything you guys want to
No, we're fine.
talk about or ask? Okay. Well, we are adjourned at 7:24. So, thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.